Welcome into Off the Hook Sports. I am your host, Caleb Calhoun. Dave is still out sick today, so it'll be just us rolling. We've got a shortened show again today, and just a heads up front, I'll tell you guys this now. We're going to take off tomorrow, so we're not going to do a show tomorrow. We'll be back next week. So Off the Hook Sports, off and rolling. Got a decent bit to get to. There are some comments about Tennessee's NIL front, and honestly, there are some legitimate questions about it that we want to kind of address, because I got to say that they may not be in as good of a shape on the NIL front as they were letting on, and that's based on a couple of comments and some other news surrounding it. So we're going to get to that. We're also going to get to another Tennessee basketball commitment. This time they picked up a second shooting guard in as many days, which is a huge deal for them because that was their biggest weakness. This one is more of a project, but still a solid pickup if you know anything about Rick Barnes and his history. After that, we are going to touch on Colorado going after Tennessee football players. Is Deion Sanders targeting Tennessee? And is he doing the exact opposite of what the rest of the college football world did amidst the Nico situation? We're going to talk about that a little bit. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win, why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. Live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. It is time for today's tough question. We are going to talk again about Tennessee on the NIL front. Let's do it. Today's tough question right now. Rick Barnes at the Big Orange Caravan made some very revealing comments about Tennessee on the NIL front and why they have missed on a couple of guys. Most notably, he didn't say specifically, but for those who don't know, they missed on two shooting guards before they landed Amar Abram on Tuesday. And Rodney Rice was all but a favorite. Tennessee was all but a favorite to land him. It was almost a done deal since his teammate Jacoby Gillespie at Maryland had gone to Tennessee, but he went elsewhere. But Rick Barnes made some very revealing comments about why Tennessee didn't land some of the guys they were trying to land. And we're going to play what he said right now because it's kind of interesting. So here's a quick quote from Rick Barnes right now.
We have a limit we're going to. And if somebody else wants, and it's happened. I mean, it's happened this year. You know, we've been involved with guys that truly wanted to come to the University of Tennessee, but they were looking for more money than that we were able to provide, and because of us having to build our roster the best way that we could. So yeah, that happens. I mean, oftentimes you hear prospects say it's not going to be about the money, but more times than not, when there's a big discrepancy there, I mean, I get it. I mean, I totally get it. I mean. But we have to believe in our program, what we have in place, and we know how far we're willing to go with each prospect, and that's the cutoff. And if someone else offers them more, we would say, hey, good luck. You know,
that last quote, good luck. We just can't get there. Guys, this is kind of revealing. Rick Barnes is almost admitting they don't necessarily have the NIL funds to rebuild their roster through the transfer portal. Now, there's a multitude of reasons this could be possible. Maybe Tennessee overstretched its NIL budget to try to land Nate Ament, the five-star forward, the greatest recruit in Tennessee basketball history, the highest rated recruit in Tennessee basketball history. Maybe Tennessee, because there was so much roster rebuilding this year that Rick Barnes had to do with 4 starters left, maybe he was stretched thin in NIL money to lure players in. Maybe more of the money than even most schools is being directed towards football. Or maybe Tennessee's overstretched on NIL funds. So today's tough question is this. Is Tennessee struggling more on the NIL front than the Vols are letting on? More news coming out of this, and the reason this is relevant is that Texas's college football NIL budget is reportedly going to be between 35 and 40 million next year. Now, we know from the inside that the NIL budgets for most schools are mostly, let's say, 20 million, something like that. 22 million. And we also know there's a gap between the big SEC schools and the major Big Ten schools. Well, Wes and I have talked about that. That's partly to do with some of the boosters and the age and the amount of money the boosters of certain ages are willing to give up, but it's also partly to do with the TV revenue. And there's more flex money for the boosters at the Big Ten schools because the SEC bungled its TV negotiations, and the Big Ten hit a home run with it. So with that in mind, you really have to wonder, is Tennessee struggling? I'm going to say yes. Guys, I think Tennessee's struggling on the NIL front. I think they're overstretched. Now, this is not with paying Nico. I don't know if it has much to do with paying Nico. I think that they were in negotiations. I don't think anybody blames them for not being willing to pay $4 million. I know Nico says it was about the money. If it was $4 million, Jimmy Hyams is right. He would have been back at Tennessee. But I do think there is a legitimate argument that Tennessee is stretched thin with NIL. It's not what we thought it would be. When this all launched about 3 years ago, we thought Tennessee would have a big NIL advantage. But a couple of things have happened since then. One, some of the top boosters have sold their stake in certain companies. Pilot, for instance, while there is a partnership with Tennessee for Neyland Stadium, Pilot is no longer owned by the Haslams. It's owned by Warren Buffett. Now, that's probably a good thing for Tennessee, given how much Jimmy Haslam screwed up the program when he was giving money. But at the same time, that's a giant company that no longer can just write checks for Tennessee the way they used to. They're going to think about money more than anything else. And as I've said for a while, billionaires put their money above everything. So selling their money, many of the top boosters who graduated from Tennessee, the top Tennessee fans selling their businesses counts for one thing. That's happening with a lot of older businesses now, a lot of older guys who run businesses. It's happening at Auburn. Also, some top SEC billionaire boosters are just older. And they don't want to pay players like this. They're still already opposed to NIL in general. They may pay for the box and the suite. They may begrudgingly accept the talent fee that Danny White has put in. But just directly paying players, they're not really fans of that. So with that in mind, it's kind of making you think, how thin is Tennessee stretched? Because 3 years ago when this launched, we thought this was going to give Tennessee a giant advantage. They had such an endorsement of money flowing in. But it's looking like they don't have the same NIL cash that many of these other schools do. Maybe they do in the SEC, but look, guys, there's a reason the Big Ten has won the last 2 national titles. And it could be due to NIL money. And this may get even crazier going forward. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, Play to Win, Why Settle, Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. They bring us today's tough question.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones.
All right, the recent poll question, is Tennessee struggling more on the NIL front than the Vols are letting on? 59% of you say yes, 40% say no. I'm gonna put a new question up, which is why is Rick Barnes unable to lure top talent with enough NIL cash? Or how about this? Why is NIL cash holding Tennessee basketball back with some players? We'll say the Vols are too many roster spots to fill. We could say Vols spent too much on Nate Ament. We'll say Vols spending more on Vols spending too much on football. Vols way more focused on football spending. Or, and the last option, Vols are overstretched. So, that's how we're going to do this. Okay, so why is NIL cash holding Tennessee basketball back with some players? Too many roster spots to fill. Vols spent too much on Nate Ament. Vols more focused on football spending, or Vols are overstretched in NIL funds? You guys let me know. I think it's the overstretched on NIL funds. I do. I do think that with their overstretching, they're going to devote. I mean, it could be a combination of that and football spending. Because they're overstretched, they're going to spend. They're going to focus even more on football disproportionately because they just can't afford to. It's more important to make sure the football program's afloat than anything else. But I think in general, guys, this is a big problem. Okay, you have to wonder how much Tennessee can afford to pay players going forward, and how much trouble is the athletic program in. I mean, is an athletic program going to have to take a hit? Will it be basketball? Will they have to devote all their resources to football to be good there and then let basketball take a hit because they don't have to worry about too much money on the NIL front for women's basketball, baseball, softball, those non-revenue sports, okay? So I think in general, there's a real legitimate question, guys, about whether or not Tennessee is going to be able to spend on the NIL front going forward, because there are just a lot of issues. There are so many questions about how this is going to work out long term. And it's not just schools paying players. That's not the relevant part. The relevant part is what boosters can give in endorsements, because technically endorsements can't be regulated by Congress. They can't be regulated by the NCAA. They can't be regulated by anything. NFL players, they got a salary cap. They got a union, but you can't limit how much they make on endorsement money. They can get endorsements from whatever the heck they want to get, okay? So with that in mind, how much money are boosters willing to lose on players just to see their teams win on Saturday? And what schools have the boosters willing to lose the most money to do that? That is the question. And that is something we don't know yet. And it's something that's going to have to be figured out, because we definitely don't know if there is enough NIL revenue in the tank to handle this. So again, vote on the poll question. Why is NIL cash holding Tennessee basketball back with some players? Too many roster spots to fill. Vols spent too much on Nate Ament. Vols more focused on football spending. Vols are overstretched in funds. This is starting to be revealing, okay? And I'm going to give you the poll question soon, but look, Danny White might have some explaining to do soon enough, because they made us believe that they are ahead of the NIL curve in every single way, and we thought that just last year. It doesn't seem like that right now, though, does it? It seems like there's a much bigger issue at play, and we're going to have to figure out how that's going to be playing out, because honestly, I have a feeling that Tennessee could fall even worse than not to a decade of dysfunction, because Josh Heupel's done a much better job just as a competent coach than previous schools, but that they could be falling into a mid-program, and it might be hard to punch that top ladder, particularly versus the Big Ten schools, given these NIL funds. Portions of the program brought to you by Chattanooga Mortgage. Congratulations, your home search just got easier. Buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. When we come back, we're going to talk about Tennessee football transfers. This maybe could be related to the NIL front, because Colorado has landed 2 of them. Are the Buffaloes targeting the Vols? Stick with us. We'll talk about that 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare. Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at nfc1.com or stop by any one of our 7 EC.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Portions of the program are brought to you by Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards. HempHouseChatWith2Ts.com, HempHouseChatWith2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off. Moving on, Tennessee football lost 2 players to Colorado in the transfer portal just yesterday. John Slaughter and Larry Johnson III both ended up going to Colorado. So, is Deion Sanders targeting Tennessee? That is the question. First, let's play a little Hot or Cold. Hot or Cold brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Integrity matters. 50 years in East Tennessee. CityHeatandAir.com. We're going to name all the examples of Colorado landing Tennessee guys. And I want to ask you up front if this is evidence of them targeting Tennessee specifically, or if they were just going after similar guys. So let's get started. First, John Slaughter. Colorado landing John Slaughter for Tennessee. Is this them targeting the Vols? Absolutely, it's them targeting the Vols. They are targeting the Vols. I'm going to explain why soon enough, but yes, they are targeting the Vols with John Slaughter. They want him specifically for a specific reason. Larry Johnson III. Larry Johnson III, again, yes, they are targeting the Vols with this. They specifically wanted Larry Johnson III, and I'm going to break down why soon enough. But yes, Larry Johnson III, I am hot on that. It is specifically about them going after a Tennessee player. Jordan Seaton, a couple of years ago, the 5-star that was down to Tennessee and Colorado and committed to Colorado. I don't think that was a targeting move. I think that they just realized they could land him, and they did everything they could to get him. I don't think they were targeting Tennessee with him. That was just a top recruit. Anybody would have gone for him. Kaidon Salter. Kaidon Salter is an interesting one. Now, Kaidon Salter did play at Tennessee and got kicked off and has since transferred to Colorado. He transferred at the end of 2024. Was this a move to target Tennessee? I'm going to say no. Kaidon Salter has balled out at Liberty, whatever you think of him, after getting dismissed by Josh Heupel. He's a dual threat quarterback. He threw for 40 touchdowns in 2023, not targeting. Martavius French, who spent his first year at Tennessee in 2020 and then went to UT San Antonio before going to Colorado. No, not targeting. Martavius French, that was just Colorado trying to beef up its roster. Even though it is a Memphis kid who was at Tennessee, Martavius French, not targeting. One more player that's an example of potential targeting. First, Hot or Cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air. Dare to compare.
And finally, Boo Carter. Was that Colorado targeting Tennessee? Boo Carter has not flipped to Colorado, but Colorado recruited him heavily on the trail in 2024 after he flirted with them. And then I think they did try to contact him last offseason. Was that targeting? Yes. Yes, that was major targeting because Boo Carter was part of what made Tennessee a sexy brand that they thought they would have with Nico Iamaleava, and they ended up not having it. So that's why they would have targeted Boo Carter. So yes, the Buffaloes right now are targeting Tennessee, and they have in the past. So why is Colorado targeting Tennessee? Why specifically? They're not taking a shot at Tennessee specifically. This is Colorado trying to separate themselves from the rest of the NCAA with Coach Prime. And let me explain why. And this is the crazy Caleb conspiracy maybe, but I still think I'm right. Deion Sanders has consistently pushed the idea of breaking a lot of the rules that kind of come with college football, some good, some bad. Obviously, pushing Shedeur Sanders breaking all the rules hurt him in the draft, but that doesn't mean they're going to change. College football in general was upset about the NIL marketplace. Because of that, after Nico asked for $4 million and Tennessee said, nope, sorry, we're not giving you that, and then he hit the portal, they thought they could get it from another school, and no school offered him even close to that. No school, I believe, offered him $2 million. There was no collusion going on, like schools emailing each other, let's all not offer this player. But I do think there was a thought among the schools' heads of saying this is a bad precedent if we offer him this, so we're not going to offer it. Now, Colorado didn't have the money to offer Nico, I don't think, given what else they were trying to give, and I think they had what they needed at quarterback anyway, so it wasn't worth it. Even if they had the money, it wasn't worth it to sacrifice their other NIL talent. So Nico goes to UCLA. All of a sudden, the NIL market is reset. It's looking like a message is sent to players, guys, you can negotiate for money, but you can't negotiate for that much, and don't overplay your hand. I think Deion Sanders is going after Larry Johnson and John Slaughter to send a message to say, and got them to say, Tennessee may have screwed Nico, but guys, I won't screw you, Tennessee players. I won't screw you over. I will let you overplay your hand. Now, they won't. It'll blow up in Colorado's face if they're not careful. But this is Deion Sanders going all in on the sizzle early to see if he can make a splash and even generate more NIL revenue. He's basically playing the game of Tennessee did Nico wrong. That's a bad culture. And then he's going to target Tennessee players for that to send a message to the college football world to say that while other teams aren't looking out for you, I will as Deion Sanders, and I'll make sure you get your bag. He wants that perception out there, and that is why Colorado went for Tennessee players. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? You guys let me know if I'm crazy on that. Now, I'm going to add it. I'm going to put it up as a poll question. Why is NIL cash holding Tennessee? First, this poll question, and it's related to NIL. Why is NIL cash holding Tennessee basketball back with some players? 12% say too many roster spots to fill. 12% say the Vols spent too much on Nate Ament. 20% say they're more focused on football spending, but 56% say they are overstretched in NIL funds. That should give you an idea of just how crazy people think this NIL funding is, because I mean, I think they're right. That's the 56%. So with that out of the way, why did Colorado sign two Tennessee transfers this week? They need the talent. That's one. Or Deion Sanders is targeting the Vols. You guys let me know about that. Why did Colorado sign two Tennessee transfers this week? They need the talent, or Deion Sanders is targeting the Vols? I'm just going to be honest, guys. I think Deion Sanders is targeting the Vols, and I think he's targeting the Vols over Nico Iamaleava. Now, people are joking about weed being legal there and Tennessee banning THC. I mean, look, I do think it's stupid that weed's not legal. You should absolutely legalize it in Tennessee, because I do think you could lose players long-term for that. I'll just be honest. But it's not like people weren't smoking weed before it was legal and aren't doing it in Tennessee now. But, I mean, I would say at the same time, look, take when you talk about that on the weed front, like, even if players are smoking it anyway, they'd rather do it at a place where it's legal, where it's easier to handle. That's just my thoughts. So I just don't think that it's smart for states that want to be big in college football to have weed be illegal right now. I just think I think that's a problem. As far as Colorado goes, will this make an impact? I mean, I don't know. It's Deion Sanders is all about narratives and making a splash. Some people are saying Joe Vol says Deion Sanders could care less about Tennessee football. Joe Vol, I disagree. I think not just Deion Sanders. I think a lot of people care about Tennessee football right now in different ways. Paul Feinbaum just reported that Josh Heupel may have bought himself some security just by the way he handled the Nico thing with a lot of coaches. Deion is here to buck all public convention on coaches. It's very possible that Deion Sanders is throwing a wrench in the college football goal of taking power back away from players. Okay, that's what this kind of sounds like. And with that in mind, guys, don't sleep on the fact that Tennessee is going to get targeted by Deion and maybe some other schools that are not as loyal to the NIL front. I mean, heck, UCLA, who are they led by? They're led by Deshaun Foster right now, a former NFL player, played in the Super Bowl, really cut his ties in the NFL and was a graduate assistant or position coach, running backs coach for 7 years, collecting a check. I don't think his heart and soul is in college football specifically. I don't think there's any thought that his heart and soul is in college football specifically. So I honestly think that he doesn't, I mean, I don't think he has any problem with spending NIL funds to get players and overspending if possible and making a splash against other players. So it's just Deion and Colorado have more money and support to do it. So no, I do think they're trying to send a message. And if they have another level of success, particularly in the Big 12, where it could happen, watch out. Because I really think Colorado, guys, is going to go after even more Tennessee players if they can and if they think they bring some value to the program. Jacoby Thomas is still in the transfer portal right now. He's looking at other schools. Don't sleep on Colorado trying to target specific Tennessee players who could be very, very, very successful for Colorado if Colorado lands them. I think that we're really underrating this. We talked about a couple of years ago, was Colorado targeting Tennessee? And I thought, yes, at that time they were. That's specifically where the Boo Carter thing came from. But I think that's because Tennessee had all the sizzle with the Josh Heupel success with Hendon Hooker and then Nico Iamaleava coming. Now I think Colorado's targeting Tennessee because of the Nico Iamaleava debacle, and they're trying to separate themselves from the rest of the college football world. Portions of the program brought to you by Haun Dogs of Knoxville. Champions look good in orange. HDKnoxville.com. HDKnoxville.com. When we come back, Tennessee basketball adds another commitment at shooting guard. This player from France, we're going to talk about what value he brings to the table. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the hook sports.
It's a new year, a new day, and Ted Russell Lincoln has an exciting new offer to share. Right now, get a 2024 Lincoln Navigator with 0% APR for 72 months and up to $4,000 in bonus cash. Or drive away in a new 2024 Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring with 0% APR for 60 months and up to $4,500 in bonus cash. It's time to get excited about the ride. Come and see what a luxury car experience truly is at Ted Russell Lincoln Knoxville.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air. Dare to compare.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Caleb Calhoun here. First, the results of the poll question so far. Why did Colorado sign 2 Tennessee transfers this week? 72% say they need the talent. 20% say Deion Sanders is targeting the Vols. So y'all don't agree, a lot of y'all don't agree with me that he's targeting the Vols. I still think he is. I'm just going to say that. Portions of the program are brought to you by Peak IV Hydration in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Live your life to the fullest. Hydrate, rejuvenate, and elevate your health with Peak IV Hydration, link in the chat down below. Let's get rolling now with Tennessee basketball. The Vols have landed another commitment, a vintage Rick Barnes development player, Clarence Massamba, a French shooting guard who last year averaged 9.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, 1.2 assists, and 1.3 steals per game during the 2024-25 international season, playing mostly for SPS Monaco, the under-21 team. He was 44.6% from the field, 34.1% from the free throw from the three-point line, Stands at 6'5", roughly 190 to 195 pounds. As Rick Barnes noted, long, athletic, can attack the open court, good with the ball in his hands. This is a big deal to a certain degree for Tennessee. Now, let's be clear on this. He signs out of AS Monaco Basket. Massamba is another shooting guard. That's where Tennessee had no depth this past year, okay? Then in 2 days, they went and signed Louisiana Tech transfer Amari Abram, who I think will be the starter shooting guard, and now they've signed Clarence Massamba. Massamba is a very, very good pickup for them. He's a vintage Rick Barnes development project. He was a 3-star on ESPN. He's unrated elsewhere. Clarence Massamba is not, I'm just going to make my prediction now. Bank on it, brought to you by Commercial Bank member FDIC, Life Made Better. Clarence Massamba is not going to play for Tennessee next year or log any significant minutes. He will likely develop or likely take a red shirt. However, this signing is not about next year, and this is another sign that Rick Barnes is here for at least a few more years. Clarence Massamba is a guy that you develop over time. We saw what Rick Barnes did with Yves Pons. We saw what he did with Olivier Camois before Camois transferred. Camois made major strides with Barnes. Yves Pons was one of the rawest players. He came from France, by the way. Olivier Camois came from Eastern Europe. Pons from France was just completely raw his first year, developed into a very solid, reliable wing his last year. Even his sophomore year, he was having to step in when Lamonte Turner got hurt and played a huge role in helping Tennessee to get number 1 that year. Yves Pons was an incredible development player, and if I'm not mistaken, he was the first actual 4-star Barnes landed, but was totally raw. And then along came Olivier Camois, who was actually a 3-star, but developed into a reliable post player. These are the type of players that Rick Barnes develops perfectly. He loves those 4-year guys that are raw, that maybe overseas, that are trying to find 2 parts of their game. I will say this: Yves Pons and Uros Plavchik and Olivier Camois all were a little more awkward as players than Clarence Massamba. Clarence Massamba, if he develops right, has NBA potential. And so this is the best of the foreign guys that Rick Barnes has brought in so far to this point who can really develop. Santiago Vescovi, by the way, mentioned him too, but Vescovi had his own issues into his last year that weren't his fault. There were some personal things that happened that really helped, that really took a step back for him, and the change in the offense wasn't conducive. But with this new offense, with the way Rick Barnes runs things now, Clarence Massamba, I think, can be a great pickup. And bank on it right now. Bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank member FDIC, Life Made Better. Clarence Massamba will hardly play as a freshman at Tennessee. But by his junior year, by his third year, no, I'll say by his junior year. By his junior year at Tennessee, he will be averaging double figures and starting. Bank on it. Well, guys, I'm trying to play bank on it, and I'm having some.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank.
Welcome back. Apologies for that. That was a bit of an issue. Couldn't get bank on it to play, but we are back now. Anyways, yes, Clarence Massamba will not play next year. Now, what overall could he bring? I think the goal for Clarence Massamba is for him to eventually develop into a very, very elite scorer, a taller, longer Chaz Lanier. Look, guys, he has the Scotty Hopson build, and if he has a better mentality than Scotty Hopson, he could be as good as or better than Hopson was. But that's not going to affect Tennessee next year, because Tennessee next year, their starting lineup is going to be Jacoby Gillespie at the point, Amari Abram at the 2, Nate Ament at the wing, Jalen Carey, I believe, at the 4, but you could see JP Estrella there, and Felix Okpara at the 5. And then your backups are going to be Cade Phillips, again, Estrella or Carey. Cade Phillips at the 5, Estrella or Carey at the 4. I believe probably now Bishop Boswell at the 3 and the 2, alternating between those two to come in. And then Troy Henderson, I do believe, is going to become a backup point guard. I mean, he's exactly like Zakai Ziegler coming out of Virginia. Unrated player, in love with the way Ziegler plays. Ziegler was his mentor. And if you guys remember, Ziegler immediately was the backup point guard. I think that's going to be Rick Barnes' 9-man rotation. And I think he wants to be able to go 9 deep, because the lack of depth the depth could have helped Tennessee, particularly facing Houston in the Elite Eight this past year, as could have the length. Barnes talked about how Clarence plays hard, or how Massamba plays hard. Said he has a, quote, excellent basketball IQ. So Massamba will, I think, end up being a very valuable player for Tennessee, but won't be next year. And don't forget, guys, 4-star guard Amari Evans is still there, as is 4-star center Dwayne Brown. And so I think you'll have that 9-man rotation, and then you'll have Evans, Brown, and I do believe Massamba kind of as reserves that'll log sparing minutes, probably will take a red shirt. Tennessee reportedly has 1 available spot left for its 2025-26 roster in terms of scholarships. They could still go the transfer portal route. We're not sure what they're going to do on that front. They have addressed their needs on the transfer portal route in a big way. So I do think the transfer portal route will help them in a big way. I don't know exactly which route they're going to go with that, but I would try to add another elite player on the wing. I would. And I would think that between Ament, Boswell, and Abram, the 3 guys who actually played last year, who aren't going to be true freshmen, who would be on the wing, I still think you need another one just for entry and depth purposes. Your front court is set. Your front court is set with Okpara, Phillips, Estrella, and Carey. You could add a backup point guard too if you don't think Troy Henderson's ready. But Clarence Massamba is part of the future for Tennessee with Rick Barnes. And look, guys, I've been saying this for a while. Rick Barnes is not going anywhere. He's not going to go anywhere for a while. And so I think that's a big deal. So I think that Tennessee might end up, I think they could end up being in really, really good shape. Now, my biggest question for Tennessee has been what they do with a 1-and-done 5-star Nate Ament. As I told you guys, and I've said for a while, Rick Barnes has had 9 1-and-done 5-stars in his career. And he's failed to make the second weekend 8 times with him. The only one he did was with Julian Phillips 3 years ago. And nobody who covered Tennessee that year, 2 years ago, and nobody who covered Tennessee that year thought Julian Phillips had anything to do with them making the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. I don't even think he averaged double figures. So while Nate Ament is the best recruit in Tennessee basketball history, you don't really know exactly what he's going to bring to the table, because Rick Barnes has just not had that level of success with 1-and-done 5-stars. Now, he has changed his style to a certain degree, to his credit, starting with 2 years ago when he landed Dalton Connect. So he should be in a situation where his style of play may be a little more conducive to 1-and-done 5-stars, but there's the style of play he does and the style of coaching. And I think sometimes he just coaches 1-and-done 5-stars a bit too hard for their liking when they're not there to be developed. They're there to find a pit stop to go to the NBA, even though they might embrace Rick Barnes fine-tuning a part of their game. That's the difference between them and 1-and-done 5th-year transfer seniors like Chaz Lanier and Dalton Connect, who are truly trying to embrace a part of their game and reach another level of popularity to try to get to the NBA draft. That's why they go to Tennessee, and that's why they work out so well. I think that the other part of Rick Barnes' game is developing guys like Clarence Massamba, which is why he committed to Tennessee. But again, committing to Tennessee requires a level of patience, because he's not going to start immediately, and he's going to have to take some time to kind of learn not just what Rick Barnes coaches, but develop his game to a certain degree to be able to play at the American level. So I think there's going to be a bit of time, bit of a learning curve for Clarence Massamba, but this is a vintage Rick Barnes commitment. And again, the biggest deal of Rick Barnes landing Clarence Massamba is it should end all questions about how long he's staying at Tennessee, at least for now, because he's not just going after all these one-and-done 5-stars or all these one-and-done transfers. He's going after specific 4-year guys that he can coach, that he can develop, and unless he's trying to leave the program for somebody else long-term, that's a big deal. Obviously, with Rick Barnes landing Clarence Massamba, he's also got Rod Clark, who is now leaving for Indiana. Rod Clark is going to work on the Hoosiers' first-year coaching staff under head coach Darian DeVries. That Rick Barnes said that they've got that position covered. We'll see who they hire as their next assistant coach, but Rod Clark, who has been at Tennessee since April of 2021, this doesn't seem like it was a shock to Rick Barnes. So we're going to see where they go after that. Portions of the program brought to you by Quality Tire Pros, serving Chattanooga community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service automotive brake alignments, oil changes, and more. QualityTirePros.com. Walk in and say, "Hello, Off the Hook Sports sent you." When we come back in 2 minutes, we got a little This Day in Tennessee sports history and stat of the day. Stick with us. 2 minutes. Off the Hook Sports.
Like a blast from the past, the Super Dealer is back. Look to the skies, Knoxville. The Super Dealer is fighting for price, service, and the American made. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Save up to $4,350 on a new Ford F-150 XLT, or get into a new Ford Ranger XLT with no payments for 90 days. Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beat. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Portions of the program brought to you by Work Trucks. We're all about trucks that are actually available, trucks that help you maximize your profits by having the right work vehicle now. Time is money. The perfect work vehicle doesn't break down and has all the space to carry what you need. That's what Work Trucks is intent on offering, while other dealerships just can't do it. Contracting is about time. Work Trucks saves you time with less back and forth trips and trucks that pass the highest standards to be put to work. The process is also quick and easy when choosing a vehicle for Work Trucks. Cargo vans, utility body trucks with the nap hide work bodies installed, pickup trucks of all sizes, and anything special like cranes or dump trucks. Work Truck supplies vehicles to people just like you and get you back on the road tomorrow. No dealership runaround. If you're a contractor, you need to know Work Trucks, and that's a fact. Service industry, remember Work Trucks. Work Trucks carries the trucks that your business has to have. You need Work Trucks. Clinton Highway in Knoxville and in downtown Birmingham. For the entire inventory, go online to WorkTrucksLLC.com. WorkTrucksLLC.com with an X. Why risk chancing your future and business on the wrong piece of equipment that burns your time? WorkTrucksLLC.com. Work Trucks will also work to make sure you have the perfect vehicle you have to have. They'll even find a perfect truck, outfit it, and make sure it fits your needs to a T. Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com. WorkTrucksLLC.com. Proud supporters of the Tennessee Vols. It is time for This Day in Tennessee sports history, and we don't go back too far. 4 years ago today, in one of the biggest steals in NFL draft history, the Kansas City Chiefs selected Trey Smith in the 6th round with the 226th pick of the NFL draft. Yes, that's right. All the way down in the 6th round. Trey Smith had been a 4-year starter at Tennessee, was a freshman All-American, 3-time All-SEC, but blood clots in his lungs, which held him out towards throughout spring practice before 2008, and then throughout the end 2018, and then throughout the end of the 2018 season, had everybody concerned. It didn't matter that he played all of 2019 and 2020 anyway. He has worked out now in general, and he is now a 2-time Super Bowl champion, has played in 3 straight Super Bowls, and he just signed a 1-year, $23 million contract. And he's probably going to get a big payday after this year, even though there were some Super Bowl struggles against the Eagles. So congratulations to Trey Smith, one of the biggest success stories in Tennessee history. You got to give him a lot of credit. This day in Tennessee sports history brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com. Also by Double D Piping.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute.
And now for the stat of the day, and this is an interesting one. Stat of the day brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best memorabilia daily updates, facebook.com/sportstreasurestn, facebook.com/sportstreasurestn. As we know, right now, the Vatican is in the process of selecting a new pope because Pope Francis passed away. Here's a crazy stat for you guys. You ready? Every single pope newly selected, the last 6 times that has happened, Tennessee failed to finish the ensuing season with a winning record. A new pope was selected in 1958. Another new pope was selected in 1978. A second new pope was selected in 1978 right after that. I'm sorry, excuse me. A new pope was selected in 58, 63, 78, 78 again, 2005, and 2013. In 58, Tennessee went 4-6. I'm going to pull it up now real quick because this is very interesting. I'm pulling up the list of popes, and I'm just going to give you the numbers, okay? Because it's kind of a crazy stat, and it's probably a bad sign for Tennessee. So it's maybe not be something that you want to know, but it's worth bringing up because it's kind of very intriguing. So Pope St. John the 23rd was selected in October of 1958. Tennessee went 4-6 that year. Pope St. Paul VI was selected in 1963. In their 1 year under Jim McDonald, Tennessee went, by the way, they went 4-6 under Bowden Wyatt in 58. Under Jim McDonald in 63, they went 5-5. Pope John Paul I, selected in August of 78. Tennessee went bold. Let me add this. John Paul I, selected in August of 78. Crazy enough, literally died a month later. So they had to select another pope, and that's when they selected John Paul II in October of 1978. Tennessee that year went 5-1 in Johnny Majors' second year, with 2 new popes selected. Pope John Paul lasts through April 2005 before he passes away. Pope Benedict XVI was selected in 2005. That year, Tennessee goes 5-6 and misses a bowl game for the first time since 1988. Pope Benedict steps down, resigns, and Pope Francis is selected in 2013. That year, by the way, 2005, that was under Philip Fulmer. 2013, when Pope Francis is selected, Tennessee goes 5-7 in Butch Jones's first year. So, Pope St. John the 23rd, 1958, Tennessee is selected in 1958. Let me start over real quick. Pope St. John the 23rd is selected in 1958. Tennessee goes 4-6 that year under Bowden Wyatt. Pope St. Paul VI is selected in June of 1963. Tennessee goes 5-5 that year under Jim McDonald. Pope John Paul I is selected in August 1978, dies, and Pope John Paul II is selected in October 1978. Tennessee goes 5-5-1 that year under Johnny Majors. Pope Benedict XVI is selected in April of 2005. Tennessee goes 5-6 that year under Philip Fulmer. For the first time, they have a losing record in 17 years. Actually, the first time they have failed to have a winning record. And then Pope Francis is selected in 2013, March of 2013. Tennessee goes 5-7 that season. They were obviously about to select a new pope. That doesn't look like a good sign for Tennessee in 2025. But again, just to make you feel better, it's also true that Pope Pius the 12th was selected in March of 1939. That year, Tennessee went undefeated, untied, and unscored on during the regular season. So there is some hope for you guys. Stat of the day, brought to you by the UPS store Hardin Valley, helping individuals and small businesses, wide range of products and services, locally owned and operated at 10629 Hardin Valley Road. Also brought to you by Ted Russell Ford.
Like a blast from the past, the Super Dealer is back. Look to the skies, Knoxville. The Super Dealer is fighting for price, service, and the American made. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Save up to $4,350 on a new Ford F-150 XLT, or get into a new Ford Ranger XLT with no payments for 90 days. Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location.
The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, play to win, why settle, Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We are live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn your notifications on, tell a friend. We're still building something great here at Off the Hook Sports. Generally, we're live on weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern every weekday. However, we are taking off tomorrow, guys. No show tomorrow, so we will not be on tomorrow. I want to tell you guys that up front. No show tomorrow. We are taking off on Friday, May the 2nd. We will not have a show. Thank you guys all for tuning in today with Caleb Calhoun. This has been